What's up, beautiful people? We are here at Micro Shorts Limelight Theater in Atlanta, Georgia, and this is the end of the night.
It is.
It sure is.
Yeah. After 222 films.
222 films.
In one day.
In one day that you both watched. I didn't watch all of them, by the way. And just so you know, these are two of, I would say, these magical goddesses that make this happen. This is Amy Middleton.
Hello.
Director of Guest Relations.
Correct.
Right? And this is Kelsey Coy.
Hi.
And you would say you are director of
the festivals.
Yeah, they both
She oversees,
Yeah, they both do such a great job. They do 222 films.
Crazy day.
Slash night. And we're having
slash morning.
Drinky Poos.
Poos
And
Backstage News.
Backstage News.
I think it's Backstage News and Drinky Poos, right?
I'm here for it.
I like it.
I'm not picky about the order.
So we're here together because the last time that we met, we talked about documentaries and how they impact us and they make us feel and whatnot and all these things. But specifically today, I don't think they can hear it, but
we have some very inappropriate music playing.
I ain't saying she's a gold digger. What?
There's some words we're not saying in that.
But we can say broke sugar.
We sure can.
We can make up words that mean the same damn thing, honestly, in my opinion. But anyway, that's another conversation.
Sugar.
I'm sure we'll have it one day.
So fly.
Exactly. So I got to be a part of this in the sense that I got to interview some of the winners from these films.
Yes.
That you both watched that were really incredible. But they're 60 seconds to 6 minutes, right?
Yes. All films are 7 minutes or less.
7 minutes or less.
I think we had our shortest film was probably under 60 seconds. I would say we'll say 30 seconds.
What is that? A trailer?
We had one horror flick that was 43 seconds.
Fascinating.
What happened in this horror film? Or tell me really quick. Like, what happened?
Generally speaking, the shorter a horror film is, the scarier the imagery is going to be.
Murder, death, chop, blood.
Something like that. And then we had one in the last block that was about 40 seconds. That, you know, the graph of a heartbeat that you see?
Of course.
And each beat was a life event. And there were some tears in the booth during that one. But that was very brief, huge impact, which is the nature of micro shorts.
Yeah.
It is.
You don't need time to hit.
This is the second year that you have both been a part of this, right? The second year it's been
It's
running
the second year it's existed, yes.
Yeah, that it's existed. For real?
Yeah.
We did
Brand new
Shorts
festival.
Fest before, but when we actually had to turn away a lot of the submissions because there were so many. And then when we realized that a lot of them were under 7 minutes, we could, you know, create an entire festival out of just the really short
Micro
ones.
shorts.
Yeah, that's
Micro
how it was
shorts.
born.
60 seconds too. You said 7 minutes. I thought it was 6 minutes. That's amazing. So and honestly, like, again, I didn't watch all these. You both did. I just, from interviewing people, feel like I've been on a roller coaster ride. How do you feel?
Thank you.
You look great.
I feel like everything went really smoothly, which is all we can ask for.
Good.
I feel like we've been on an emotional roller coaster. So we've covered the gamut from comedy to horror, which, as one of our filmmakers said in the Q&A, are very similar. You either get someone to laugh or you don't. You cause fear or you don't.
Right.
And it's all about timing.
Right.
We've had deeply emotional films that had our whole staff in tears. We've had very lighthearted films that were fun to watch. We've had proof of concepts that left us wanting more.
True.
And the nature of micro shorts is it's very much like scrolling through something like TikTok, where you're consuming a massive number of videos in a short period of time, and they're all incredibly unique.
So cool. Yeah. It really is.
This is one of my favorite festivals simply because you never get bored.
Bam,
Yes.
bam, bam, pop, bam, bam,
Constantly.
bam, right?
That is so true.
It's really cool. So it started at noon. It ended at 8:30, 10, 9.
Oh no, our last block actually ended at 11:30.
11:30. Okay. So, but there were 8 different blocks.
There were 8 main blocks.
8 main blocks. Okay, right. This is really,
And one bonus block.
And one what?
Bonus block.
One bonus block? What's
Yes.
the bonus block? What happened there?
That was largely.
We forgot about you, but get on in here.
That was films submitted internationally that had a component created by AI, controversial, debatably ethical. We had a very rich panel discussion with our AI creators,
That
but
could have gone on for hours longer.
Easily
Yes.
hours.
Come in. There's going to be some questions you want to listen to, the answers.
And a lot of it was discussing the ethics, the stolen art, the involvement of the creative process in this. The panel discussion was fascinating, but our final block didn't have any filmmakers in it, but it was international.
The one that was in here, right?
Yes.
You're like, no one's in here.
It was like one person.
One guy watched it and he really loved it.
Yeah, and it was cool. I mean,
It was.
I was in there from the beginning of it. For the AI, again, I didn't see all of these films. I didn't. I saw some of the trailers, so I could get a little bit of like education with what I'm doing and what I'm walking into. And I could see the ones that, the trailers that were really hot, the ones that were really good. There was something, the table, like what was this? One of your
The
favorites?
kitchen
It
table
was one of your
was
favorites.
that was my nomination.
I
and I was so glad she won an award.
Yeah, tell everyone out there what it was.
Very relatable.
Yes.
She was a first-time filmmaker.
Which I honestly would not have known.
No.
I would have thought she had years of experience.
Awesome. So this woman played herself in a postpartum situation, correct? At a table, battling with herself and what she used to be and who she is now because of postpartum, but also, break it down. Again, I didn't see it. I saw the trailer.
Amy connected with it very deeply as a mother.
Yes. As a mother, it struck me in such a way that I wasn't expecting it.
Right.
And that's what I really liked about it, is that you don't find out until maybe like 2/3 of the way through that she's speaking to her past self.
Aww.
And so, like, you don't know if it's like her sister or,
so it wasn't her. You couldn't tell that it was like a twin or a her.
It was, right. Like, you couldn't tell if it was like maybe her twin sister who's
with
super judgmental, the way it was
Yeah.
played out.
Right.
There were audible gasps at the reveal.
And that's what happened, is literally I'm sitting there watching, because sometimes, especially if things move, I wouldn't even say slowly, like it didn't move slowly, but
I mean,
you're just waiting to figure out what it's about.
6 minutes or less.
Yeah.
Right.
Come on.
Right. So sometimes you're just waiting to figure it out. And so you're like, okay, what is exactly happening here? And I'm watching, and then it just hits me. And I was like, oh my God. And just start crying because it was so powerful. It was so relatable. And she even said, just it came from a very genuine, raw place, from real discussions that she had with herself. And that I think every mom, whether
whatever, it's picking up from yours and yours.
There we go.
Yeah.
Right. Whether you became a mother by choice or not, has those conflicting feelings of, letting go of who you were before you became a mom, because that's a person that no longer exists. And that is such a profound and difficult reality to wrap your brain around. But it's also just so relatable. Like, I feel like everybody goes through that on some level.
Regardless of what the transition is, they do. And we have a member of our team who is a stunningly beautiful transgender woman who discussed the implications that she personally felt pre and post massive stages in her life.
Anastasia over here in a minute. We have to, because there's
if she's willing.
There's two things that I want to talk about. One has to do with AI, and this right here. We're going to come back to because it's very important. It really is. It truthfully is. And I've got an extra mic. It's blinking, but we're good.
Amazing.
So yes. From that perspective, she could share.
From the perspective of anyone who's been through a shattering change.
Yeah.
Shattering not necessarily having a negative connotation, but a change that causes you to question not only who you are, but who you were and who you want to be. And that type of a depth of change takes a massive life event.
Beautiful. Really quick, because the people out there that may not have seen these films tonight, there is a way to still see them, and it's somethingflix.tv. No,
Festflix.
Yes.
So catch these winners, and maybe not even just the winners. There's other films that are.
All of
just
our
the winners?
festival
Yeah.
alumni are
Yeah.
invited to put their films on
Yeah.
Festflix. So
Festflix.tv, I think it is.
Yes.
So that we can see. I'll be watching these later because I need to see them.
there are some of them that I will rewatch again
Yeah.
and again. They
So
will
what
stay
was one
with
of your
you.
favorites?
There were several that really touched me, and
Top two.
okay, oh, that's
I'll
hard.
do the third later.
So we had one that I found very frustrating. It was called No, not the film. It was called Bad Tat,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it was nominated for 3 Bad Tat. It was a comedy. It was excellently
Very well
made.
executed. Yeah.
It was incredibly smooth, and this was produced by a filmmaker who was in a team with 2 of his besties. So the
Okay.
3 of them, each one led a film,
Yes.
and between Bad Tat, Dueling Season, and Gag, all 3 were excellent. But Bad Tat was nominated for 2 awards and came in 3rd on Audience Choice. I was
That's
rooting
dope.
for it. I mean, of course, as I try to stay as impartial as possible, but this is one that
But how can you if you really?
it was so
love
freaking
We
funny.
wanted them to get some award. It was a standout film for sure.
That
Okay,
one
give
and
me
our
what is it
overall.
about? I mean, give me the synopsis or like a little bit story. No,
I'm gonna let
no.
Amy do it. Amy's funnier.
We found out from the director it was originally going to be called Dickhead.
I remember that now. I do.
Amazing.
And basically the premise is a tattoo artist has been paid off with a lot of money
A lot.
by the rivals of the person who is his client, who is getting a
Gangs, like rival gangs.
head tattoo across their forehead.
Okay.
So instead of getting, I think it's like killer or something, like what he asks for,
Murderer, killer.
Something like that.
he gets the classic dick, cock and balls right on the forehead.
On his head.
And so it kind of like entails this chase of, this angry client and this tattoo artist that is
Sounds crazy.
trying to
This
hold
poor
on to
man's
his
just
balls.
trying to
I
stay
don't even know
alive.
what's going on here.
He's just trying to stay alive,
I don't know.
man.
He's
And
trying to stay alive with tattooed dick balls on his face. Okay, great.
I think I love
Sold it, Amy.
his
Sold
shirt the most. It says "Gat Riz."
I don't know. The genre
You jumpy.
Every detail on the set was paid attention to, and that was
that's
true
good. Yeah.
of all 3 of these films. So Dueling Season, it was funny. It was about, it gets hot in the South, there's dueling. It was narrated by a British guy who was very soothing. But the thing that got me was in the end credits. They talked about the 2 combatants and their seconds. And on one side, you had 2 people with Hispanic names. I remember one was Sergio. I don't remember the
I
other.
interviewed all of them. I could not remember any of their names. I was
But-
like, oh, how do you spell it? But
So
it's
they
all
had, we'll say Sergio and Marco, because I don't remember, but I don't want to say nothing. And the person who played Sergio,
Backstage news and drinking.
there we
This is
go.
where you get the real facts.
The person who played Sergio was played by an actor named Marco, and the person who played Marco was played by an actor named Sergio. And I'm like
That's ridiculous.
cackling at the credits, and no one else noticed. So I'm
Are
just,
you serious? But they did.
it was intentional, and it was hilarious.
Cool.
These 3 had every detail paid attention to.
Beautiful. So I was doing a little bit of like fact checking if the YouTube, the internet, whatever, Chat GPT is even like real or not. But one of the most interesting and highly acclaimed genres is comedy when it comes to micro shorts.
Yes.
Can you feel that? Can you
We
understand
love
what that would
it.
be? Like that? I mean, there's so many different genres.
Yes.
But it's like the bam, bam, punchline, go, go, go.
When
gotta
you
shock
can
whatever,
condense that into such a short amount of time and get your punchline
Right.
to
Yeah.
hit, that is a true art form.
I also think there's a strength to comedy and horror
Okay.
in the micro short genre, in that you get the laugh, you get the scare. You don't necessarily have to build up a ton of investment in the characters to make a huge impact.
True.
Whereas something like a drama is
You gotta get
really
the characters.
hard in the
Yeah.
micro short form.
I bet.
So I could watch hours of comedy micro shorts and be happy as clams.
So within the comedy, what was the favorite? What was the one that won? Was there one that won even?
So we
comedy?
didn't have a best comedy
No, we wanted
award.
Bad Tat to be best comedy.
We suggested
Now,
adding
what was this
that.
one?
No, that's the dickhead one, the tattoo
Oh,
on the
that's
head.
the fucking dickhead one.
Yeah.
Excuse me, fucking trucking, looking. Okay, go.
Oh, we had also, I would nominate the horror comedy Bones for that, which
Yes.
involved, to quote the filmmaker, fucking skeletons.
Yes.
And that's not a euphemism, that's a verb.
It's a verb. It's an action word.
We just,
Amazing.
and he was lovely.
It was
He
lovely.
was the first person to check in for the whole festival, and he stayed the entire time to support his fellow filmmakers.
It's nice. I
We
know.
love
and
that.
It's a long day. It is.
It's a very long
We
day.
discuss this too. Sometimes people leave because whatever their situation may or may not be, we don't really know. But it is really nice when people come and they stay the whole time.
It is, and I
Right?
will be honest, in my day job, I am a scientist. If I'm at a scientific conference, I am
Not you.
Well.
You're not a scientist. You're not a super smart, educated,
Oh, goodness.
intellectual.
But if I'm at a scientific conference, I'm going to be honest, I max out.
Yeah.
There are
There's
times
only
where I
so much
will
you can
say
take.
there's nothing in this block that speaks to me personally. I'm going to go have a long lunch.
Right.
So we also don't hold it against filmmakers who
Right.
do take breaks and rejuvenate and recharge.
Mhm.
But
Long
just
day.
the importance of staying for at least one entire block, even if it's the one their film is in, they support each other.
So here's the thing too, though, about the micro shorts, because they're only 60 seconds to 6 minutes. There were a few people that went, I fucking missed it.
Yes.
They went down to get a taco or a burrito or a hamburger or something, and they're like, ah. There was one gentleman, I won't say his name, but he was like, did all the jokes land? Did you guys all get this? Did you do that? Because like he didn't know, he didn't get to see and feel what he wanted to feel from the, the audience and all that. And like,
Yes.
you're quick and fat, you got to stay.
But we
You can't go to
also
the bathroom.
we do a Q&A at the end of every block though,
Right.
and he was able to ask the
He
audience.
did.
And
That's all I knew.
the faces in the audience when he asked, he got the reaction he was looking
He did.
for.
He
The
did.
audience
They really
felt
did.
what he was
It
conveying.
did. It was really cool. So here's a topic that we're going to talk about in Anastasia. We might bring you in a second if you're okay with this. AI. This had its own thing going on. Amy said, do you have any sound effects to go? We're all like, okay, saw none of them, saw a few trailers. But when I interviewed some of these people that were a part of this, and they told me their names and their title, their synopsis, whatever the role was, it sounded cool, but at the same time, I didn't see these. They were cool that sounded cool, but I know that there's an AI kind of like, there's a battle. Come on over, Anastasia. You and I are going to sit together. We're going to talk about this. Because
Let's cuddle.
Because she was the one that interviewed, well, not interviewed, but sit right here, my love.
Oh, you're in the
Gave me-
middle,
gave me a
babe.
little Gave me a little information about a few of these that and I'll sit right here. Amy, you're still in. Well, sit, my love. Sit. No, sit. And hold it about right there, whatever. You were one of the people that told me about how one of these films impacted you so much that you had to leave. You're like, I gotta go.
Oh,
I can't do
oh,
this.
no.
And
Yeah.
you're still in here. Just
I remember that
So
one.
share. You don't have to say the name of it, or you could just say what happened and to you personally.
Well, it was more of a visceral reaction. I'm not a prude. It just had excessive nudity presentation in a way that I just found personally
Challenging.
misplaced.
Yeah.
Misplaced.
Okay, not offensive, but misplaced.
Misplaced in that its intention was there, but the way it was done was something I just couldn't handle. So I had to go out of it. I had
a
to
little
leave the theater
you
because
did.
I just had to.
Disturbing.
What happened in the opening scene? See how I dig?
I don't know if I should say.
I mean, I've already said fuck and dram it. And
I don't know that I remember the opening scene, but I will say later scenes treated a large-breasted woman as though her breasts were milk water balloons. That got uncomfortable.
The opening scene was of a large black woman with her breasts out, but there was consistent sounds of what sounded like a woman screaming behind her.
But the implication was that it was pleasure. But the implication was pleasure,
That
but the
wasn't my
screaming was
takeaway.
not.
Oh, good. What did you get? Put this on into your
Sorry,
face.
you're
Onto
fine.
Your beautiful face. What did you?
Sorry,
take
I didn't
away?
mean to interrupt you
this
though.
is
No,
good.
no. This is what
flavor.
film
This
is, right?
Yeah.
My
Exactly.
takeaway from that film was the fact that AI is learning from the internet, and the internet obviously has hypersexualized women's bodies
Yeah.
did it.
And it has learned to create perfectly anatomically correct breasts, but
We
still
don't
can't
think
do
so.
hands because that's not the focus.
Or the
and
way
that's
the
not what
limbs
we-
moved was weird too.
Right.
But see, what Anastasia said was like even the intro scene was like some woman like sucking her breast.
And I think that's what
Yes.
I think that's what
Well,
it's
no, it was she was sucking them so hard that her face was starting to implode.
Mhm.
But
And-
even before she started sucking them, you just see her naked sitting on the chair, legs spread, and you just see her sitting and you hear the screaming, and then she starts sucking them.
yeah.
I think to me my takeaway was that it was the internet's exploitation of women and how AI is learning from the internet and how that
That's
is
interesting.
becoming
It is.
translated through
That
everything
way.
that it's involved
That's
in.
trippy, girlfriend.
So
That means there's a lot of twisted porn out there.
right.
Wouldn't you say?
And I think
I
that
think we would all say
well, yes.
there's some weird people are into
What
some
do you
stuff.
think? Yeah.
I mean,
I'll
I
make sure this is on because I need to hear you.
We all need to hear her.
Okay, there you go, baby.
You're worth hearing, babe.
I just think that I can understand what it was, but I was shocked just because there was no coherent plot line, and it just showed us straight into the explicitity, which, to Amy's point, might have been the exact point that the filmmaker was trying to make.
Yeah,
I
but you
just
did
think it was a
leave.
problem.
You didn't- you
I
it was
just-
very
Yeah, it was
disturbing
too much for you.
imagery.
No, I
your
was.
thing.
I had to
regardless.
put my
Yeah.
shoes on and leave because I was like, I reached.
My girl
my-
took her shoes off.
Put my shoes back on, and then I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm leaving because I can't
Now,
do
this gentleman that made this film was from Greece.
Mhm.
Right?
And he
Traveled all
flew
the
to the
way.
United States from Greece. He has not slept. He got on a plane, came to the States. He brought, I believe, two
people from
two
Greece,
people
yeah.
from Greece,
Yeah.
came to the festival and was like, I haven't slept in 2 days.
Well, like,
And then
we
went
can
to
tell,
rest.
bro. We can tell.
Yeah.
But he did his best up there explaining like what was up.
I actually really thought out of all of the opinions of the AI filmmakers, his was the one I respected the most
Nice.
because he was the one who actually used the word stealing when he was describing how he had acquired the imagery. And that was
Which
a
is what
very
we're talking about with AI.
yes, so
Stealing
that
things.
was a really good segue into kind of talking about the ethics of using AI in filmmaking and
Yeah.
you know, is it okay with stolen imagery artists are not getting credited for? And I actually respected the argument where it was like, well, you know, people are influenced by each other.
More potions.
More
Well, this just
potions.
keeps the
Well,
Backstage news and Drinky Poos going.
well, we discussed.
Cheers.
Well,
That's
Amy
somebody keeps
recaps
pressing
this
this button.
incredibly complex topic.
Cheers.
Well, it
Have
is.
some
I
booze.
agree with the nuance, but I think I would be a hypocrite because I
Salud.
used it before. But the one that changed my thing was that the environmental damage that AI uses.
Well,
because
obviously.
for
That's something you educated me about.
for every ChatGPT or product that you put into an image generator, it takes about 1 to 3 bottles of water to cool the systems, and then that water is not recycled, and then it trickles down into, if you imagine, do the math about how many people use AI, that's a lot of water and a lot
I
of
never knew
waste
this.
of
I'm
And
not
if-
educated tonight.
If you
I
think
really
about
did.
how
I
many
never-
people use water,
I mean,
It's the
we all
exact.
have water.
all of us, we need that water.
It's the same challenge that places face with Bitcoin or other cryptocurrency mining. It's the same thing. You've got to run those fans to cool that machine, and that burns non-renewable resources in a time when
Seriously, beautiful people. I know.
They're
We
tough.
need those
But I didn't know
resources
that.
to sustain human life.
Yeah, we do. So
But global warming is
that's the
fake.
devil. AI is the devil.
I will
Okay.
say,
And then we have these things. We have
I
our
would-
phones and computers. We use these. There's a difference, right?
There's a difference
what we're talking
between-
about AI and that.
So I think intelligence is often, the connotation of intelligence is a level above smart.
Yeah.
So artificial intelligence is perceived as a level above a smartphone.
Right.
For example,
Right.
going with the
Which is blah,
connotation
blah,
of it.
blah. Right.
But a smartphone simply takes something like a laptop, which is enormously expensive and often more expensive than a smartphone, a
Right.
basic smartphone.
Yeah, they're huge.
So smartphones in many ways make the internet accessible to a lot of people.
Right.
And artificial intelligence has branched onto smartphones in such a way that people who maybe have English as a second language or don't have the ability to compete with people who have received fancy college educations,
Right.
it kind of levels the playing field in a lot of ways,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also kind of an artificial leveling.
But see, that also feels like computers have been around for a very long time.
Computers
so this
have.
has probably been happening for a while. But is it
Yeah.
a computer AI? And I'm not, you know what I'm talking about. As far
This
as
is a
artists and
valid,
taking things
no,
away from us. That's fucked up. But
that's an
aren't computers
excellent
AI?
conversation. So a lot of,
I want to make sure this shit is on.
a lot of what we've used computers for historically, computers are guided by human interaction. So most of what I use my computer for is for statistical programming or for, I know.
And they're
Or-
binary, right? It's 0, 1.
Wouldn't that be nice? It's not. It's much more complex to do like statistical modeling or epidemiologic modeling.
Right.
But when you have something like that, that's very different, and I don't trust a computer to tell me what I should be modeling when I'm looking at the way social factors in our environment affect our health outcomes. I'm a cisgender woman, so the way that I access care for something like breast cancer screenings is very different than a transgender woman, even though we face a lot of the same risks.
That's an interesting subject completely.
The totally different topic, but just an example. So when I'm doing my work on my computer, AI doesn't really factor into it because it just doesn't understand the social structures, because AI pulls from what we put on the internet.
ChatGPT, something that's pulling from something else.
ChatGPT.
I just feel like sometimes a computer is that though. If you just Google something or you research or whatever, it's
Well, that's
still
because
that.
Google now does have an AI feature,
Right.
which does use it. It didn't used to last year.
But even AI does, in theory, the work of summarizing what humans have put onto the internet. Whereas as a human, when I summarize what other humans have put onto the internet, the lens where I view it is as a human. I know what it is to live as a person in a complex world. I'm a cisgender, bisexual white woman, so I exist.
Girl, you know you black.
No,
Don't
I'm
even
woman.
try to
Oh
act
my
like you white.
God.
You ain't even white. Girl, you black. You don't even act like it.
So I exist at the intersection of several different identities. I am privileged in that I am cisgender, so that's certainly easy in some ways. I am white,
again,
perceived as white, pale as hell.
Really is.
But
when it comes to like AI, I had no idea until you told me, Anastasia, this has something to do with like it's changing.
But our social understanding,
Like, I just found out too.
But our understanding of the way,
Cheers.
our understanding of the way that we operate in a complex social environment is not something that a machine can emulate, because it's not something that's adequately captured on the internet. So what we've seen, AI uses the internet as a training, essentially basis of knowledge. And speaking as a Redditor, love Reddit, but it's complicated. AI, but AI has been documented as being racist. It's been documented as being sexist because that's what's on the internet.
Oh, yes.
And as underrepresented social beings.
And I really think that film that we were just talking about, those were the points that it drove home to me.
I agree.
You know what? I'm out of here.
I think that's why I couldn't, because
put my shoes on.
Yes.
And I'm out of this theater.
But that's similar to what one of the AI filmmakers said in that.
Hold mine.
Oh, thank you. And that he said that he was trying to get a mosaic of every race of children, but it was what kept presenting up to him was AI's knowledge of what Google Images did. Like all I got was just what Google Images showed up, which is not very diverse, but just like what people National Geographic would show in 2030.
Right, and statistically, the ethnicity or the language that's spoken by the most people, you're going to hit things like the Chinese languages, specifically Mandarin, or Indian languages, specifically Hindi. Those are large populations, but coming from a Western-centric country, and the West seems to fuel a lot of this internet, we erase a lot of dominant global cultures.
Amy, we're fucked.
I mean,
We gotta go to a different country and we're fucked.
We did just get rid of DEI, so it's not like we're trying to make an effort to make that any better.
A spaceship. It's
And
called
I've
the
used AI
Glittoris
before,
Pandora,
but I've sworn
and we
off
can all
of it
go there.
after
The
a while.
Glittoris, I love
The
it.
You did great.
Pandora. It's a real story. This is a show that I have in the makings. Because I've invented a spaceship called the Glittoris
I
Pandora.
love it.
My best
Stunning.
friend is a pink bunny rabbit.
Amazing.
Of
I'm a bunny girl.
Get it?
Is she sparkly?
Yeah, she this and she vibrates. But anyway,
Oh,
because
I
cannot
got it.
take any more of this human bullshit. So I want to go to another planet and galaxy far, far away where I have other experiences. However, in these other galaxies far
Like
away,
Barbarella?
there's still some exactly.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
called
here
the
for
Baby
it.
Rella spaceship.
Baby Rob!
Baby Rella spaceship.
I love
However,
it.
I still encounter some shit on other planets, and then life forms
Yeah.
are still not doing the right thing. So it's all out there. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But what's interesting to me is that you're extremely educated, highly educated, right?
Thanks.
She's such an intellect.
Isn't she
Yeah,
incredible?
very
She's the
academic.
most
Yes.
knowledgeable
Yeah.
person.
I've spent a lot of time
you
in
could tell me
classrooms.
anything and I would believe it because of the way that you speak.
You should not.
I know.
You should question
I know,
everything.
I know, but however you are, that means you're a powerful bitch.
No. Well,
Anyway,
That's high
Drinky,
praise.
Cheers.
Just kidding.
Cheers.
I'm kidding.
Um,
Sometimes you just know when someone speaks that you're like, I want to listen because I can feel that that vibration is right, and they're coming from a place of
thank you.
education, but also that, and also you too, sweetheart. Maybe really, when you speak, you do. You
thank
speak.
you.
I mean, from your heart. You can tell you're a mama, and
I
you
do my
speak from your
best.
love. You do, and you guide, and you do. You have an opinion, but it's not like fuck the system. It's more like
Usually.
let's tell some
But
stories.
also fuck
It
the
is,
system.
but also
Cute
fuck the
way.
system, yeah.
But yeah, and show her your shoes really quick.
But I think there's some.
If you wanna
Oh
be
my
my
goodness.
lover,
You gotta.
Those
I
shoes
love
make
it.
Amy almost 5'3".
I know. My girl was like taller today. She was so much
Yeah.
taller. It was so fun.
I think
mean,
there's
this-
also something to be said for people who communicate in the way that they are able best, but as long as it has authenticity and it's a reflection of truth, classroom education gives me a vocabulary that I'm very proud of.
Oh, that, yes.
Yes, the vocabulary. I'm very proud of my vocabulary. I'm well spoken through years of speech and debate training in a formal setting, but at the same time, a well spoken opinion does not have any more value than an opinion by anybody else as long as we are all speaking our
It
truth.
doesn't. But
You
I
can
actually-
fill it with likes and
Yeah.
ums, and it's
Yeah.
still.
And I do ums a lot. But I
Doesn't
go on,
matter.
Like I could close my eyes and I go on what I feel. And maybe that's right or wrong, but I go on how I feel someone's essence to be. I'm like, okay, that feels like light to me. That feels like not only
Yeah.
education, but like that feels like it's coming from something good and wanting to help. Not I'm just saying some shit to fucking wear the crown and
Right.
whatever
But
people
for
wanna
what
hear.
it's worth, I'm very similar in that way. If instead of saying something feels like light, I might say, "Oh, this is luminous."
Yeah, but then I might go blah blah blah. And
That's a
fairy dust,
$100,000
fairy dust,
vocabulary.
and put over there in your direction. But Anastasia's face looks so beautiful, doesn't she?
Also, I would like to give
Madonna.
some credit to this incredible woman. This woman walked off a film set and came straight here to volunteer for this festival.
Rapunzel,
Incredible.
let down your scarf.
Oh my god, that was
She
amazing.
did this cool ass thing. We were all talking over here, and she like out of this little corner window, we can't see it right now. Let down her scarf, and we're like, Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your scarf, and then she just disappeared, and I couldn't take a picture of it. So anyway, imagine that. It was
perfection.
fabulous.
Also, an incredibly talented makeup and special
You can
effects
tell.
makeup artist. Absolutely mind blowing, and has done makeup on several feature films that were fantastic.
Cheers, darling. Cheers to that. She doesn't drink, but we do. Backstage news and Drinky Poos.
Listen, we still need our hydro homies.
Yeah.
Water's worth it.
Lighter, yes, it is. I mean, we could like sum this up right now and like be like part 2, part 3. Like, it's a continuing thing. But within this film festival, and thank you, ladies, so much for letting me be here.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
You're the most amazing host. I think
Welcome
I've
to the
ever
club.
had.
I love it.
Welcome to the family.
We're all one team.
We're all one team.
All the
Perfect.
filmmakers that when they did their Q&A, I was like,
Sure.
when you said, and you're gonna go talk to Baby, and I went, oh, just get ready, because it's not about like, you're going to give the serious talk. You're going to give like the breakdown. You're going to give like, you know, the heart and the soul and like all these things and how it touch you. I'm going to do that too, but I'm also going to play a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's important, even though there is a message, you know, there really is. It's important to have that. I think just to be able to play a little bit and be like, oh, you know what? Yeah, that wasn't really a comedy. It was a sci-fi. Or like whatever. That's my shtick. And so what I have to say again is thank you for letting me be part of this and let me be me.
I think we also
For letting me be me.
I think the best metaphor for who we are as a collective is a radiant cut diamond. It's got multiple facets, and it's got multiple facets, each of which contributes to the radiance of the stone. It's gorgeous, it's stunning, and without any one of its facets, it's a little less bright.
I love that.
Isn't
That's
she
a
the
nice
most
way to end.
beautifully
How do I
amazing,
hashtag that?
intelligent person that
Hashtag
you are?
diamond.
Oh, thank you.
But
Diamonds
all
are
those different
forever.
words. You said, what was the name of the drink that your fiance
Shine
made?
bright
What are we
like
calling
a
this?
diamond.
Oh, we
Imperial
were
Twilight.
the Imperial Twilight.
Hashtag Imperial Twilight.
If you want to play a game for 8 hours,
Twilight Imperium, but that's copyrighted. So this is the Imperial Twilight.
Imperial Twilight. Yes, I think we'll stop it right now, and we could have a part 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, whatever, 8, 9. 10,
Oh, we
11.
will. We will. We're starting a podcast.
I'd love to talk more about AI and
Let's do
how...
it. We can stop and start again. And we can. You know
How,
what I'm saying?
okay.
Otherwise, we'll be like blah, blah, blah. But for right now, thank you, ladies, for being part of this coven.
Thank you for hosting us.
Thank you. Thanks for bringing all your goddess energy.
If you want to be my lover,
You gotta.
uh-huh.